Hi everyone. Today's video is going to be on the project instructions. So I'm assuming since you have located this video, you have also seen the module in our core shell that talks about all of the information for the course. So you've seen the multiple items. If you already beforehand maybe went in and looked at some of the instructions, the point value, the due dates, if you haven't done that, I would do that after you watch this video just to kind of see kind of what's there for you. But obviously, this is a good place to start, is me explaining to you verbally. I have the PDF pulled up right in front of me, so I'll read along with that, which you, of course, have available to you, but I will go into some more of the details where I see fit to make sure that I'm fully explaining the entire thing. So, like I mentioned before on the course and syllabus review, that I'm doing, you guys do this project kind of in place of doing, it's like instead of doing a research paper. So there's still a little bit of research that goes into this project, but it's definitely the opportunity for you to be able to kind of express yourself more creatively versus just, writing a standard research paper, which I'm sure you're still doing in a lot of your other classes. So, and this is just a little, a little different from that. Hopefully you have fun. I used to do the classic paper for my students. I'd assign it, they'd write a paper, 5 to 6 page paper. I've been doing the project for now. This been 2 years. So this is I think my 5th semester doing it, and I've had great success with it. Students love it. They have a lot of fun with it. It's kind of de-stressing. Typically, when they're doing other more researchy things for other classes. So this kind of gives the students a little bit of a break from that, which is always nice. Okay, so I'll just go through the bullet point list and then elaborate where I see fit. So the first thing, each student will pick a type of project from the list below, and we'll get to the list in a second, but just know that there are a handful of different options for you. So whatever you maybe feel yourself wanting to do a little more than something else, you have some creative leeway with that. Be aware that each project has slightly different instructions, so no surprise, depending on which type of art project you select, the instructions will be slightly different. That should be obvious, right? But the instructions aren't super extensive or elaborate. These are very basic because I want you to have a lot of freedom with what you're doing. For each project type, you will need to pick one main topic and 2 subtopics. So as an example of this, you could say, we haven't gotten to the Neanderthals in class yet, but I skipped ahead and read about them, or I've heard about them before. It seems like a really interesting topic. So that would be your main topic, Neanderthals. That's just your main general topic. The 2 subtopics would be thinking about Neanderthals and thinking of 2 kind of sub-ideas about them that you might want to incorporate into your art project. So you could think, okay, Neanderthals is the project, main topic, but my 2 subtopics will be Neanderthal, weapons or tools, and then the second subtopic could be Neanderthal cave art, and that could be what you decide to do. In fact, you can see this is a previous student's piece of art right there. I have a few things in the background, but I have so many more throughout my house. You don't have to, no student has to give me their work, but it's nice when some of them gift it to me. It's always pretty cool. But so you can see here, this individual decided to do a Neanderthal. This is just paper and pencil. Neanderthal, beautifully, well done. They're holding a spear. And then in the background, you can't really quite see it on the video, but in the background, they're in a cave, and there's some cave art on the wall. So there you go. Now, you could be very literal like this. You could be a little more abstract with what you do. That's kind of up to you. Let's see, next bullet point. These will all be incorporated into the project, of course. I already said that. For the main topic, pick anything that we have covered or will cover in class. So anything that maybe you've already watched a video on, anything is coming up. Anything from the textbook is totally fair game. There is part of the project, which you may have already seen in the module where you found this, that there's a few different things you have to turn in. One of them, the only thing you turn in kind of earlier, because everything else about the project is due at the very, end of this course, but there's something you turn in a little earlier, and that is letting me know what your topic's going to be. So if when you are filling that out, it could be something really, clearly from the textbook, and then I'm going to say approved. If you are thinking of something maybe a little more peripheral to what we're talking about in class, but you think I still would probably accept it, you can totally, put that into your your little submission for the topic, and I'll just say yes or no. So I would try to stick to something related, obviously, to this class. But if it's something that's not quite directly in the book, but you still think you'd want to do and it's still pertinent, you can always ask, and I'll say yes or no to it. So you can think out of the box a little bit with that. For each project, there is a minimum of 3 peer-reviewed sources. So as you might have done on like a research paper, you'd have to look up some peer-reviewed sources, right? Especially for a science class. You're still going to do that same thing here. It's just how you use that information will be different. Instead of using it as like a source and then writing a bunch of info in a paper about it, Smith 1995 wrote about da-da-da, instead of doing that, you're going to give me, as part of the stuff you turn in, like your list of 3 peer-reviewed sources, but you're just going to use the information you find from those sources and incorporate it into the art in some way. So let's say for this student here, they were wanting to do Neanderthal weapons or tools. Maybe we talked about it in class, maybe we hadn't gotten to it yet, and they decided, no, I'm going to look up a couple of peer-reviewed sources for that. Then and then of course I would say the best place to start, Google Scholar. The CSN Libraries website will allow you access to a lot of scientific journals. Google Scholar will allow you access sometimes to them for free online, not always. So if you find it for free on Google Scholar, then just go ahead and use it. If not, you can always check the CSN Libraries website. But I think it's my personal opinion that Google Scholar is a better search engine for finding kind of exactly what you need, but that's just up to you. So, maybe you find an article, Neanderthal weapons, a classic paper written in, like the 80s or something, or maybe a recent one, something new was discovered. You could totally use that. And then, of course, you're just going to incorporate that info. So if I were to take one of your articles that you cited and I were to pull it up, I'm like, oh, this is obvious. This was used as this part of the project. So, let's see what's next. By the last day of class, each student must upload a video of their project to Canvas. So this part, which I think I explained in a little more detail in a moment, you are just going to, because we're not in class together. If we were in an on-campus class, I have the students on the last day of class, they bring their projects to class. So everyone gets to kind of walk around and mingle and chit-chat and look at all the cool art. I get to walk around, look at it too, grade it, of course. But obviously with an online course, it's a bit different. So I still need to see, like, to the best of my ability, that you've done this art project. So I'm requesting that all the students upload a very short video. And like I said, I think if I have, let me scroll real quick. I think I have the exact instructions. Yes, in just a minute we'll cover that. But this will be, very short. Think like 30 seconds, something like that, where you're just showing me what you've done very, very briefly. So I'll get to the details of that in just a moment. This can be done earlier than the last day if the project is completed early. So you don't have to wait until the last day of class. Let's say you finish it the week before or 3 days before or whatever you want. You can get that information into me as soon as you want, right? So I don't have anything. I have due dates, but I don't have everything's open right now. It's all open right now. So if you ever, for this or anything else in the class, if you wanted to work ahead a little bit, which I get is a strategy that many of you might decide to use. You got plans, you want to get some of the work done ahead of time, not a problem. It's all open for you to be able to do that, just for the project and everything else in the class. Let's see. A large portion of the grade will be effort-based. This is probably the one thing that students stress about on this is how is she grading this? Like, what is my grade going to be based on? Your grade is going to be based on the effort put into the project. So imagine this. Let's say I had you guys write the 5 to 6 page paper instead of doing the art project. And of course, this is dependent on what type of student you are. Some people are fast writers, some people aren't. That's fine. But how much time do you think you would invest in writing like a 5-page paper? I'm trying to think back, when I was doing my undergrad, I probably would have invested at least probably a weekend. Maybe on Saturday, I sit down, between noon and 3, do a little research, start writing in my outline, maybe write the intro, and then maybe the next day on Sunday, maybe the same amount of time, noon to 3 or noon to 4, write the whole thing, proofread it, So you could probably spend, an hour per page, I would say. Now, some of you might be thinking, I'd use double that time. Obviously there's a little variation with that. So imagine spending about that amount of time on this project. So that's what I'm looking for. Is it going to be obvious, whatever, project you decide to do, is it going to be obvious that you spent, 5, 6 hours on it? Or is it going to be obvious that you spent 5 or 6 minutes on it? That's the big thing. And I'll say in the past, most students get A's and B's on this. The only time that I've marked someone down is when it's something they clearly did in the hallway, like before coming into class. And you would think, who would do that? It's happened a couple of times. It's rare, but it has happened a couple of times. And I hate to have to do that to the student because it's worth so many points. It's worth like 20% of your grade, right? So this should be fun and interesting. Hopefully you're not avoiding this one like you might avoid, like, like writing the paper until the last minute. So I would suggest, like I said, spending about that same amount of time. Let's see. Oh, yes. So I have here, if you turn in a sketch that took you 10 minutes before class, you will receive a failing grade, of course. Your grade is not based on artistic ability, but effort. So everyone has their own style. Art is subjective. We all understand that part. So what I'm looking at is the clear time that would have gone into something, whatever project you decide to do. That it should be obvious that there was time and detail spent on it. Now, just like with a paper, you might be a really fast writer and only have to spend 3 hours on it versus someone else might spend 7. I understand there's going to be a little leeway. The main thing I'm looking for is, was there effort and time and energy put into this, right? And I'm assuming at least a handful of hours. That's kind of the judgment call I'm going to be making with that. And there's, of course, other things you're going to be graded on, but that's kind of the main heart of the project. So if you're worrying like, I'm not a good artist, that's not really relevant. It's going to be like the time you put in and the effort, so. Then you'll see here there is, it's highlighted in yellow, it says there is also, and it's a larger font, there's also a video in Canvas where these instructions are explained in significant detail. So that's what you're watching right now, right? So if you had read the PDF before, you would have probably been like, where's this video? So that's it, this. Just as you would, and so like I just said, just as you would with a research paper, plan on spending several hours on this project. As an example of effort scale and corresponding grades, an F, a C, and an A, you can see the picture right below this. Now, there's a little leeway with this, but the main idea, because I had a student last semester who was like, well, A is clearly really well done. And I'm like, forget the part that it's what, like, everyone might agree, oh, it's a beautiful piece of art, that person's very talented. I don't care about that part. What I'm showing you is the clear effort that went into this. So the one person who drew the stick figure, that would take almost all of us, it would take us like less than 30 seconds, right? So basically 0 effort put into that. The one in the middle, a decent amount of effort. Someone probably would have spent, 30 minutes to maybe an hour or 2 even, working on that. So definitely not a failing grade. But like an average grade on that. Nothing wrong with getting a C at all. That's just, where I'm kind of putting this level. And then, of course, with the A, the one on the far right, it's not even about the fact that it looks beautiful, but you can tell, even like if you kind of took that part out of it, you can see the amount of time and effort that went into this. All of the detail, the shading, the smudging, the different color, like, you know what I mean? So that's the part that's important, is the detail that goes into it. And you might say, well, the middle one would probably take me 5 or 6 hours. That might be true. And that just has to be clear and apparent to myself and or whoever's looking at it, right? So it's really about the effort that's put in. So moving on to the next page, you will then see, let's see, we've got the 3 options that are available to you. So the one that most of the time the students use is the painting/drawing. I've had students just take pencil to paper, charcoal to paper, watercolor, it doesn't have to be something super elaborate, but I have had students, multiple like acrylic paints, get really elaborate with it. There's a minimum size I give you, 11 by 14, but I've had students bring in like, a giant, canvas. That part's really up to you. It doesn't have to be anything super elaborate. Unless you want it to be, it could be pencil to paper, as long as, of course, the minimum size is met. Some students have come in with things already framed, and in class they present it that way. Some don't, but with this case, you're just doing a short video, so the presentation part is a little different. You're not displaying it to the entire class, just to me. Let's see. Okay, so for this one, you will create a painting or drawing using the following guidelines. So this is pretty simple: paper or canvas, charcoal, pencil, pen, paint, etc. All of those are fine. 11 by 14 is the minimum, so we're not doing something super tiny. 1 main topic and 2 subtopics. So lots of leeway and lots of freedom with this. This is one thing some of the students are like, I need more instruction. I need you to help me narrow it down. This is part of the process, right? Is you have the freedom, so you have to kind of figure, I've given you some boundaries a little bit, but you have a lot of freedom with how you want to do this, how you want to set this up and, do the art. The next one, the short film, I've had maybe like 7% of the students will pick this one. Usually a couple students per class will pick this one. Here's the thing, and you can see that I've had a couple things in bold and underlined. So if you decided you wanted to do a short film, there are certain things that I want you to absolutely 100% avoid. So let's go through this bullet point. For this assignment, you will create a short film using the following guidelines. 3 minutes minimum, 5 minutes maximum. You might be thinking 3 minutes, that's not a lot of time, but when you're having to kind of create a short script or make a scene or do whatever it is, act out something, 3 minutes can take, there's a lot of prep that goes behind this, right? 3 to 5 minutes in the past with students has been about like the perfect sweet spot. So the student must be in the film, not just behind the camera. So you can't just film your friend, or your dog. They can be in it, but I need to see you as the student, This should not be, this should not be a presentation or lecture. I do not want to see you sitting like this talking about like chimpanzees. Even if it's a really cool video, even if you have a lot of detail, I do absolutely 0% want any kind of lecture or presentation. That is not what this is. Do not do that. There will be a large deduction in points if the video is a lecture or presentation. Do not do that. And you might be thinking, well, what else would I do? So some examples from students in the past. One student had like 2 of his buddies help, and they set it up like they were doing like a news channel, and the student was like the main, he was like, the newscaster, and was talking about, oh, we have this Charles Darwin, seen, paparazzi found him at, the CSN campus, and then let's cut to, our friend so-and-so, and then it cuts to the friend, he's like interviewing, it was like someone else who was dressed up as Charles Darwin. You know what I mean? So something really fun like that. I also had another student who did, like, they were a YouTuber, and they had just gone on like with a class, or a friend or something had gone on like an archaeological dig, and so they were talking about, we found these cool bones, and they made up this whole story and kind of did it as like they were a YouTuber. So you can find different ways around. You could even just decide, oh, the whole story of Darwin's a really cool story. I'm just going to dress up as Darwin and just act out, a little video about Darwin, like whatever. I'm on the Beagle. Where's the Finch? Whatever. This should be fun, right? Usually the videos get a lot of laughs from the students. So this one would be fun. So it says, this option will require acting, artistic expression in some way, of course. Any camera type, of course, I don't care about. I'm not going to know, as long as when I view the video, it's viewable, There must be scripted dialogue. It says, don't just wing it. I don't want to see you just in front of the camera being like, oh, I don't know what to do, or Darwin's cool. Like, there needs to be some kind of scripted. There can be a little leeway with that, but it needs to be obvious that whatever I'm viewing from you has something that you have prepared in some way, And then, of course, before, you've got the one main topic and the 2 subtopics, so incorporated into that in some way. Like I said, this one's a little trickier. Students usually go towards the painting or the drawing one, but this one, I think, is, when the students do it, it works really well. If you have that mindset, maybe you already like do content creation, you like to do videos, like this might be kind of the option for you. The next one is the 3-dimensional item, and I've had students do multiple types under this one. So you, like I have on the list here, you could do like a diorama. You could do like I've had a couple students do like a whole miniature scene. There's one who did like this whole jungle, and then they had all these miniature like monkeys and apes and, fruit trees, and it was just like really beautiful. I've had students use clay and just do like a clay, made a clay skull. And one of the students a couple years ago did a beautiful clay, Homo erectus. And then last semester, I should have grabbed it for the video, but it's like in another room. It's this, I'll show like a picture of it at some point. She did this beautiful, like, I can't even believe she gifted it to me, but this beautiful female Neanderthal, and it was made from clay, and then she got like a wig for it and did it all these really precise details of the face, even like the large nasal opening, and gave her some freckles, and it just phenomenal. So beautiful. So a lot of leeway, with that one as well, how you would want to do some kind of three-dimensional or like a diorama. I've had students do like a diorama, and it's got, like one student did kind of like a Neanderthal scene. It was like the cave, and there were Neanderthals with the fire, and so anything like that would be fine too. It's kind of, if you're already really into like that kind of thing, you could just use this, as your project, or like, incorporate it into your project. So those are like the three options, right? So even within all three of those, you have a lot of, sub ideas that you could, think of. So I would definitely spend, think of it for a couple of days or a week and just kind of think of how you'd want it, what you'd want to do, how you would do it, to get some ideas, if you're already really into like painting, maybe you're just like, that's the one I'm going to do. If you already like making videos, maybe do TikTok videos or something. You're like, I'm going to do that for sure, because I already have a couple of ideas that are going to be great for this class. So it's totally up to you. And then when you do that little check-in with me, there's, I think, an option in there for like letting me know. I think I have that. I have to double check if I ask for that question. I think I do, but figure it out. Okay. Now moving on in the PDF. So now it's the part of the brief description. You are not writing a paper. You are not even writing an essay. I even have this here. This is very short and easy part of the project assignment. Do not overthink this or give yourself more work. This really is very, very short. Please hear me, you're not using your sources to write a paper. You're not doing anything like that. You're not writing even a short essay. You're not doing any of that. I just need a little bit of writing from you. Literally, it's like 4 sentences, just so I can get a little detail from you. That's it. So this is very, very short. I've outlined it very clearly for you. So it says here, there is a small written description portion to this assignment, along with your painting, drawing, short film, whatever. You are required to submit a short description of your work that you will turn in via Canvas assignment. So here it is in specific detail, so you don't have to overthink this or worry. Part 1, describe your main topic and 2 subtopics. You will see here I have 2 to 3 sentences. That's it. You literally could give me 2 sentences. You could say, my main topic was Neanderthals. My 2 subtopics were Neanderthal tools and Neanderthal art. That's it. That's it. I just need you to write it out in a sentence. That's it. Part 2, a summary of what you are wanting your audience to take away, feel, or understand. Also 2 to 3 sentences. So you could give me just 2 sentences and say, I want the audience to think of like the difficulties of Neanderthal life. I also want them to understand how artistic Neanderthals were. Done. So you've only given me 4 sentences. That's all that's required. Do not give me more. Let's see, I have 2 to 3 sentences for parts 1 and 2. So it should be no more than 6 sentences. That's it. Boom, boom. That's it. Don't overthink this. Don't give me more. If you give me more, I will be upset. Do not give yourself more than this. And then it says part 3, you're just going to give me your works cited. I don't care what format you use, MLA, APA, AJPA, whatever you want. I don't care, as long as obviously they're the same. And one thing students always get wrong on this is, maybe I'm assuming in high school you guys learned how to cite like something like a journal or something on a website. If you're looking at something that's just on a regular website, that wouldn't be something you would use in this class anyway, because it's not peer reviewed. If you're looking at a journal that's online, you don't cite it as a website. You cite it as just a journal entry, which means you don't give me a hyperlink or anything like that. And so if you're unsure how, you can just Google APA, journal citation, and it'll be like, it's really easy. In fact, if you're in Google Scholar and you click the citation, it already has it set up for you can select it, like copy paste, like it's like MLA, APA. It's really easy. I mean, it'd take you like 3 seconds. Super easy. So that would be it. You'd have like 2 sentences, and then 1, 2, 3, your works cited. That could fit on like half a page, right? Very short. I know I keep saying it. It's because every time I do this, students will overthink this and write a whole page. I don't want that. I don't want a whole page. If I wanted a whole page from you, I would assign you guys a research paper. I don't want a whole page. I don't even want like a long paragraph. 2 sentences, and then 1, 2, 3, your works cited. That's it. So easy, right? Super short. That would take you like 8 minutes to do, right? So easy. Don't overthink this part. And then you will see in the module, of course, where you have to submit that. But it is very, very short. Don't overthink this part. Okay. And then the last part is how to submit everything, right? So I'll just read. In modules in our Canvas course shell, you will see a module titled Class Project, which of course you've already found because this video is in that. Within that module, you will find the 4 items essential to completing your project submission. These include project topic approval, project description, project video, project images, right? So these are the 4 things you have to do. They're not very difficult. They're all brief, but they allow me to kind of view the entirety of your project and verify that you've done it. And this should be pretty easy on your way because you're just uploading a few things, right? So here it says the points for each of these adds up to the total project amount of 200 points, right? So out of 1,000 points for the whole class, this is 20% of your grade. When you click on each of the 4 items, instructions will guide you through exactly what is required. But I also have it here on the PDF. Number 1. Hold on, my thing's being weird. Just move that a little bit. Okay. Number 1, project topic approval. This is where you will answer a brief survey about your project ideas. So if you're in our module, you'll see that one has the only due date of all of this that's earlier in the semester, because I want you to kind of be thinking about your ideas early on and get it approved right by me. You get a few points for that. I think it's like a brief survey, but I think it's like 4 questions. So, it's going to take you like 4 minutes to do. It's really simple. I just want to know like the details of what you're doing. The next thing, project description, which is what I just reviewed just a moment ago, the brief description. It says, this is where you will submit a brief description of your project. This is and in bold, very brief description. And the instructions are detailed when you click on the assignment. So we just went over that a moment ago in this PDF, but also when you click on that part in the module, you'll see it explained again. Parts 1, 2, and 3, 2 sentences, 1, 2, 3, your peer review. Super, super short. Do not give me more than that. If you do, I will mark you down because you're not paying attention to instructions. Okay. Number 3, the project video. This is where you will upload a brief video of you displaying your project. The video should be no longer than 1 minute, and that's the maximum it should be. I think most of you would be under 30 seconds. So this is what you're going to do. And I think I have it in that part in the module exactly. So you're like, hi, my name's Alicia. Here's my project. I've made this really beautiful, 3-dimensional item. And then you just show it to me, or you take your camera and maybe it's, you're showing me the painting. Just show it to me from a couple, I just want to see what it looks like. Like I said, that could probably take you saying hi and your name, take you 5 seconds, showing me whatever you've done. Maybe you give me a little detail verbally, but you don't have to. You can, but you definitely don't have to. I just need to be able to see a quick video. Like I said, most of you might even just take like 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe, but a minute. I put a minute just so you have a little bit of time, but I don't expect any of you to really even do a full minute. I just need to see, oh, there's my students. I verified it. They told me their name, verified that part too. I've seen their cool project, and which of course I was already expecting because of the project description. And then of course, because of the topic you got approved earlier in the semester. Let's see the next part, project images. This is where you will upload a minimum of 2 photos of your project. Please make sure there is a good lighting and captures the details of your project. I do not expect you to be a professional photographer, but the 2 images should be should be well lit, not blurry, etc. So just take your phone. You're like click, click, if it's Canvas, you're like, click from this side, upload 2 photos that are, I can see what you've, it's well lit area. It's not blurry. You weren't running and trying to take the photo or something. Just so I have documentation of you've submitted a couple photos of it. And that's it, right? So the project itself is going to be the fun part. This whole list right here of writing the brief description, doing the video, taking the photos. I mean, you could probably do all of that in 20 minutes. You can wait to the day it's due. You can wait till the day before. It's really up to you. That part, even though you're like, oh, there's like 4 different things. Oh my God. It's very brief, right? I'm just giving you a lot of detail so to not to make sure you're not stressing about it. And then the last part, it says there is a lot of freedom with this assignment and the 3 options. So have fun with them, be creative. Do not forget to submit your project topics for approval. So don't forget that part, right? But honestly, have fun with this. Pick something you're going to enjoy, researching for a little bit, drawing or painting or talking about or acting out or whatever, sculpting. Have fun with this. Obviously, if you have any questions, absolutely reach out to me. I feel like the PDF answers most things you might have. So before you send me a message, I would, just double read through the PDF again, or Control F, and then try to find whatever you're looking for. But there's always a chance that you have a question that I didn't answer in the PDF, and then of course feel free to reach out to me. So that's kind of it for this one. I made a note to myself about the list, so I'll send like an announcement of some journal article or some journals. I keep doing that. Some journals that are like good ones to use. But obviously you can venture out from those ones. But okay, that's it. I will see you guys on an actual lecture video.